Alright boys and girls, and welcome back to another building video. This time, we are tackling the circle footprint and making something amazing. Starting off inside our compound, we have some of the most exciting double chain link turrets that are going to be an absolute pain for any raider to take on entering compound. And as you expand upwards and outwards into a nice, defendable little base filled with storage and juicy tech, bringing you ever closer to that perfect wipe. I reckon you boys and girls are really going to like this one, so let's get on to the touring. And of course, we're starting right next to a Satori disconnect port as we always do. There's space to add anything in there that you would like, and of course, you can do a free-handed external like I've been showing in the past few videos, but this one is purely to overlap main base for just now, and there's no more TC inside of the space, so it's not essential to have as beefy of an external. Now, we do want some bunkers, some offline protection. We're going to go ahead and stick 2 freehand bunkers just externally outside the compound here. It's adding some raid cost. Of course, it's kind of inconvenient to bring any loot out here. However, it could put raiders off from actually offlining the base when you demonstrate these bunkers out in the open, and they might not have enough boom to hit the main base and the bunkers. Could create a little bit of uncertainty, and it might be enough to let them select a different base to offline for the night. If you like building and you're looking to improve, my Discord is a wonderful place to be. We've got multiple great builders, including me, to answer any questions that you may have. An extensive moderator team. And if it's my building style that you like and you don't want your base layout to be visible on YouTube, then you can open a ticket and look into getting your own custom base design for your own personal use. Cheers lads, let's go on with the tour. Our external connects up to a spare square. Last time I used a little vending machine in here, but you can add whatever you like. Looks like we got a farm this time. Terrific. 2 planters. That's going to get you a lot of cloth. Heading into our gatehouse, we've got some patricos, and we are utilizing both angles. Usually I like to plug, but this time we are utilizing the top and the bottom half of the patrico, and we're also taking into account the shop front. An old item that has never had a use in this game, and finally Basso has figured out something to do with it, and it works perfectly for plugging the top half of a patrico, giving us naughty angles. Staring up at those turrets, you can see they are very nice indeed. We saw them in the early cinematic. Plenty of shotgun trap spots all around here. Get that BP, fill up your compound, and make it nice and difficult for raiders to roam around in. The turret angles on here are immense. As long as they enter the compound, they're going to have a hard time. We have some little peaks here while raiders are stuck dealing with that furnace funnel. After they break that cheap wooden high wall, they're going to be hit with a 5 rocket large furnace, and then from there you just stand and hit them from the angles that we have set up already. The compound has been very methodically thought out, so you're going to be able to get a lot of kills in here just playing off these bedrooms that most likely won't even get hit by any rockets, and the angles here are wonderful. Really OP head glitches to give you a massive advantage. And then in the center on either side we have a little loot space. In the compound, a little bit of extra storage in there, 6 boxes, keep whatever you need, and the compound is of course symmetrical by 2. In total, we have got 6 turrets covering the compound. Now, we have 2 entrances to the base. One side is purely mobility, and we will sprint all the way around to the opposite side, which is starter base, entrance, and mobility. Finally, a little trick here, why not throw off raiders even more? Obviously, if the door's open, it's a little less obvious, but just stick a locker in front. Anyone that is desperate to door path this base might get a little bit bamboozled when they see a locker, as it covers up that door frame perfectly. Why not give it a try? Who knows if that's going to do anything, but it's there. We're calling that as a piece of tech. That's a piece of technology. In the starter base, there's plenty of space here to redesign this however you want. I've gone for a monster door path on this one. Get garage door BP'd and spam them all the way through here. We don't want to lose our main TC, so just wrap around. Then of course, bags, boxes, workbench, everything you can think of. Go ahead and cop that DLC if you want some OP storage. And on our mobility, it is equipped with a roof kind of head peak here. Gives us a little ankle biter, watching the drop down from 3rd floor and giving us a little look into open court. And of course, if any walls open up, those angles will become even better. Little turret underneath here that does watch people ever so slightly as they first come up. You do need to be crouching. The turret needs to make eye contact with you to be shooting at you in that kind of space. However, it's better off at holding the breach. Up into our open core, really nice OC here, and we've got our friend Crow down below. Thanks for letting me on the private server to record this one. Appreciate it, lad. But that's our OC. Lots of boxes in here, furnaces too, and a little demonstration of that turret here. Watching the breach as anyone enters from any high walls there. That's a naughty turret to deal with indeed. Jumping up, we do have angles here. With those boxes, they kind of look a little bit more enclosed. Really nice angle into open core. You pick that window up and you can kill anyone that's running around in there. Little X-peak angle here too, which is nice, and you can see these windows line up perfectly with exactly the raid path people are going to take, going through those cheap high walls, getting baited in by the wooden, and then from there you are holding them down from all these lovely angles. If that roof mobility is a little bit tricky, it might not have been my first try. You probably saw a jump cut there. You can add a ladder, but it's just not as clean looking. but the jump is very much possible. Just a little crouch and you're there. Roof has plenty of angles for the far away. Some nice crouch angles up on these ramps, giving us a good head glitch for far. If you buy the DLC, you can make that angle even tighter as well, using the Brutalist. Roof is nice and open, space for scrap helis. 4 turrets are covering and they're chain linked off. And then we have a separate area over here with some more angles looking down and a couple of drop downs to help us retake roof. These ramps are great because you can now strafe whilst ankle biting on roof, which is brilliant. And it also allows us to drop down into an external bedroom here that comes with some downwards angles for shooting floor. So we're covering all of our angles, making sure we can see anyone running around in compound down below. That concludes the tour of the Halo. Hopefully you guys are super impressed with it and you want to know what the base costs. And we'll go ahead and look at that right now. First of all, on screen is the total build cost, and second up here is the box amounts. Makes things a little bit more easy to visualize. And lastly is a total upkeep that's spread between 3 TCs. The main TC is holding the majority of that upkeep. Now we'll go ahead and jump into our tutorial. Cheers for watching, boys. Alright, let's start off at the starter base with just a square and a triangle, allowing us to claim our build spot with the minimum amount of materials as possible, ensuring you guys are going to be able to get this one down on wipe day, no matter how much stone or wood you've got on you. Square is going to go in the back left corner. That's going to give us space to do a triangle shelf a little bit later on, so it's all thought out very methodically. Carry it over with a square, and then we'll get a couple more doors in here, just to make sure we can't get deeped early on into the game. We'll go ahead and wrap around 2 more triangles here. And this early game window could come in handy if we do get raided early on. Bit of basic defense, which is always nice to have. And then we can seal all of this in. And if you use that window space, you can bring a triangle shelf through. Wouldn't be a bad time to do that either. Once you've done that, throw your frames in, and then you're good to go. Next, we're going to expand out the rest of the circle. So we're wrapping around with triangles until we've completed that hexagon footprint. We are going to skip the next square, as that's actually where our airlock's going to be. And then the next 2 squares are utilized, and the triangle in between them too. Another exit, so you can see the base is symmetrical by 2. The 2 airlocks are going to be lining up with each other. Obviously one side doesn't actually lead into starter though, that's why it's walled. Over here, extra spot, triangle. Add some furnaces in there, whatever you'd like. And get all of this upgraded. And another loot room over here. Then you can get all your doors down and make sure your starter is nice and safe. But there's plenty of space in here, which is great, allowing us to expand outwards to that compound, getting the externals down nice and fast, claiming that build spot. Getting all of our door frames, and then add a ceiling on top. Tutorial nice and easy to follow. We are ensuring that everyone can build this one, so we're going to be super slow, take our time. You'll notice everything's been upgraded to metal. That is so we can disregard it. Okay, so anything that you've seen, that's metal. That means we've already built it and we're onto something new. So all the current things are being built in stone. Let me know if this is helpful. Hopefully it should help you guys. Hopefully it should help you guys focus on the newer things that are getting built and what's already been done, so you can differentiate between them a little bit easier. On our airlock, we do have a roof peak up, and then we also have our jump up. The roof peak up actually stops at 2nd floor. It doesn't go any higher. And then the jump up, of course, continues. So we do not roof it off at the top. We just leave that open, sealing it with a frame and a double door. Just a wall in the middle, and then another door that would lead into open core, but for just now, it's just sealing up that little roof airlock. And that's the extra jump up here with the mobility. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Just continuing the exact same process on the opposite side of the base. Okay, both of our mobility chutes have been started upon. From here, we're going to do our little compound outpost with the bedrooms, building in a little row of triangles here. We're keeping this all in twig because it's not all going to remain. See, we're demolishing a couple of triangles and squares here and there. And we get that nice wraparound there, giving us our funnel. Loot room in the middle. Squares coming off for the bedrooms, and these extra triangles are going to come in handy for holding up some chain link and creating patricos for our bedroom. All of this is going to be decaying right now until we connect it to main base. This is our connection going down over here, but some of these foundations can still decay because they're not technically touching. We do need walls on these triangles and then a window on the square before that connection is complete. This is a little loot room in the center. If you don't feel like you're going to need the loot space in here, of course swap it out for something else. It's completely up to you guys. Looking good though. Then from there we can add in a window, and that connects the square. So our square will no longer decay. And the same on this side, connects this section too. And now it's all touching our main TC, which is brilliant. Add your door in front of your bedroom, just like that, sealing it off. And of course we've got the half-height patricos in there to make that bedroom angle nice and tight. Just sealing it all in. Over here we're going to be creating a spot for the chain link, of course also a spot for our shotgun traps too. We're low-walling that so that the bedroom does not lose any visibility, allowing us to peek all the way around compound, which is really nice. Smart little upgrade there. And you can still hide that shotgun trap behind the half wall to catch people off guard. Chain link's going to go down in a right angle, just like that. And of course you can add the chain link in at any point. And we add triangles up top for the turrets. The middle triangle doesn't really get used for anything. Had a box in there in the tour, but you can just leave it open. And a frame will go in there later on, once we get onto the X-Peak. Adding in a couple of low walls on top of this square is going to make it a lot harder for grubs to get past any dodgy barricade placements that we might accidentally do. It's just going to ensure that they can't sneak past here. And then lastly, we'll drop down and add a spot for the shop front, that wooden shop front peak there. And the nice thing is that shop front is it's a BP that you get on vanilla. You don't need to research anything, so that can go down early on and give you a very nasty angle just around the base. Next, we can go ahead and do the exact same thing on the opposite side of the base. So go ahead and do that. Okay, both compound bedroom outposts are complete. We're going to come round behind them, and we're going to start working on that free-handed bunker, just in case you do want to get that bunker down nice and quickly. Maybe you're planning on going off, and you want to store some loot safely. I'll show you how to add this in its earliest stage. We're going to start by adding in just a simple little build-out, and we're looking to clip this square into one side of the base, but not the other. You'll see that I'm having the gap close to me, whilst clipping the corner furthest away from me into the base. So this is what we're looking for. If we can see, the wall is under 80% stability, which means it is only being held up at one angle. If I add in another part, it jumps up to 80. So we know the wall is touching on one side, but not the other, essentially. Now, that is a pretty monster gap. So we're going to do it again, but a little bit tighter. But that's the idea. That's what we're going for. There we go, 78%. So the wall is touching one side. I can see the gap on the other. We're going to confirm that the wall opens up with a roof. It does. Double check that it does not open up from the other side. And then you know for sure that you've got it right. Now that I'm happy with this gap, I'm going to add in a couple of frames and some shelves in here. It's important that we activate the conditional here. You'll see a bump appears. We need the two grades to match, so we need the outside wall and the inside frame to match. And then you simply rotate until that conditional appears. I'll show you what it's like without the conditional, so we can see why we do need that. And that just covers up the gap without actually connecting the wall, just to be clear. The gap is still technically there. A conditional is not actually creating any kind of building connection. It's purely a visual thing that occurs when the two grades meet. Then we swap out the square for a triangle just to neaten things up, just to show off our tech. And there'll be a gap at the top that we're going to cover up by placing a triangle frame here. Make sure you get it in the right spot. There are going to be two socket options. Try from below, try from above until you get that angle right. Placing this should not close the bunker. If it doesn't close, it's in the right spot and you're good to upgrade everything. And that's your 300 bunker. That is connected to your main TC, as long as you had your compound outpost connected. And then we can go ahead and do the exact same thing on the opposite side, and you can start storing things in here already behind 2C4. Okay, let's get round to the opposite two sides of the base that we've not worked on yet. We're going to add in some triangle honeycombing. In the center, we're going to leave it out for a moment. Don't rush ahead. It's going to make doing the build out a little bit easier for our zenith peak here. You'll remember it does also incorporate a gatehouse, so we get a bit of a padlock shape here as we build back with triangles to make that connection. Just like that. You can see it loops all the way around. And that's going to create our shooting floor a little bit later on, but it's also our gatehouse for just now, so we can rush those high walls and get them down nice and fast. Go ahead and add the walls on your honeycombing, and the floors all the way around. At this stage, the foundations are still decaying, so you're not safe to just leave it in this state. I'll let you know once everything is linked up and no more decay is occurring. Adding in this frame here, we'll connect everything up and ensure that there's no decay. If you do, feel free to stop at that point. You can. But if you're ready to keep rushing through, we're going to move over to the gatehouse now and add in our door frames and our windows. And you'll remember that we do in fact have some nice peaks on this gatehouse. And a hidden turret with a roof as well, coming over the top of it to hold up a window and shooting floor. So we're going to have the shop fronts on the top side looking out of compound. And then we're going to have the low wall Patrico facing in the way towards compound. These two half walls are going to help funnel players through into shotgun traps, whilst providing chain link for the turret above. All very methodically thought out for the compound. It's a very nice compound, if I do say so myself. We can cap the top of this Patrico here and focus only on the shopfront area, just like that. And then last thing to do is chuck our turret in the center. Couple extra floors here to cover up those shotgun traps, make them more effective, and then there's the turret spot, and we cover it with a roof, and that turret can be placed at any time. The roof does not block placement or anything, don't worry. And then we're going to go ahead and do everything we just did on the opposite side of the base, And this time it'll be a little bit harder because I picked a wonderful build spot that's halfway under the water. Okay, now that we've done all of that, it is in fact time for some high walls. High walls are going to go down in a 90-degree angle, simply just closing the gap by 2. There are 4 gaps requiring 2 high walls to close. So if you do the maths on that, we've got 8 high walls to seal up, which is pretty nice, pretty generous, pretty easy compound to seal. And of course your large furnace can go in at any point, so just feel to rush these high walls and then just wait for that large furnace to come. And as long as you've left enough room and connect it up at a 90-degree angle, you're going to get that furnace in there. You're going to walk inside your funnel and place your furnace as high up as you can, covering the 2 gaps, and you can kind of eyeball it a little bit, making sure not to block ourselves in, but as long as the gaps are covered and your furnace is nice and tall, then you've done it properly. But that's what we're looking for, all 4 times. Easy peasy, looking good. Then from there, let's get our externals down now as well. Why not? Fully claim our build spot and ensure that we are safe and ungriefable. We're going to go ahead and do a little build out and then do this TC. I'm having a little issue here. I just had to drop down the foundation, and of course that's an issue you guys can run into if you're on bad terrain. And we just work around it, we just level it up. It's okay, it's not a big deal. It's not going to affect the disconnectable in this situation. But even if it does, it's not a massive deal. You can go ahead and throw a TC in there. And we'll work towards connecting this back towards what was a farm in the tour. But of course, it's just a spare square for you guys to do anything you want with, really. Completely up to you if you want beds there. More boxes, a shop, whatever you can think of for that spare square. It's completely up to you. And then we connect it up with frames and break all of the twig. Or else you're not going to be able to place your TC in here, because right now it is connected to our main TC. Once you demolish that foundation, you'll get that TC down, which is nice. And there we go. Then we can go ahead and do what we just did over on the opposite side of the base. And I'll be with you guys once we're all caught up there. Okay, our compound is only truly sealed once we've got our barricades in. So we're going to do a small twig build out here and start on the corner squares, placing this directly in the center, and you can see those low walls prevent anyone from sneaking by. And of course, there's no jumping over this either. Then our last 2 barricades are going to go right in the center, and using the frames that we have from the chain link, they'll be able to sit on those, and that'll let you place these in the center, covering up all our gaps, and making this compound quite the challenge to get inside. You'll mimic that exact barricade placement over on the opposite end. And then the last thing to do is cover up that gatehouse. And then from there, those large furnaces can run away without any industrial, and you should be able to not worry about them. Over on the gatehouse, it's pretty similar to a small twig build out. And just to be sure, we're going to do 3 barricades here. You can seal it with 2. But why not make the compound a little bit harder to get into and spend a little bit more mats for that? I think it's a good trade-off, so we'll just do it this time. Just full seal up that compound. And there we go, barricades are on, compound is safe and sound. Get those large furnaces running, and you should be ready to expand over to our open core. Once again, we're building in stone to help differentiate between the metal and the stone so you know what's new. Adding in the combing first so we don't have to go back outside and add it later. And we don't use that triangle either. It's just square loot rooms in the middle. Half wall them off because OC is 1.5 tall. Technically 2 tall. And then you can honeycomb around the back here and do the same that we just did. And remember, if you're running into any issues whatsoever, of course, leave a comment for the algorithm, but the best way to get in contact is the Discord, and everybody can help you in there, including me, and we'll usually get the problem fixed up pretty quick. Make that little center console here with the half walls, or the low walls underneath, so that turret can still see underneath and cover the breach, and they can watch each other, which is always good. Adding in a couple of ramps here. Now, if you're having issues with the ramps, most likely is what's happened is you have a deployable underneath, whether that's the boxes in starter reaching through the floor, or a ceiling light, or a locker, something like that could block those ramps, unfortunately, and you'll have to go underneath and go ahead and pick it up. Could be a bit annoying, but it'll encourage your teammates to start moving loot up to OC as well. So we like that. We'll take that. Add in your frames for your loot rooms, windows in the middle to peek inside of, and then frames up top. And this is ideally where the med boxes are going to go. That's like the best spot for it in my opinion. Right in the center where everyone can find it. And then from there we can start walling in our loot rooms and honeycombing the top of them. Just wrapping them in walls. Adding a floor on top. And it's just combing up here. And then once we've done that, the blocks placement in the center can be tricky, I'm going to be honest. You can place it after everything's sealed up, but you're best to do it in this order. We're looking to place a box directly in the center with one directly in front. In the middle, we don't want to be taking up any space on the left and right. And you're doing the same over here too. If you're trying to place this on the normal stone non-DLC frame, it's going to be pretty much impossible. You need a flatter hitbox to work this placement on. And then the last 2 boxes go in on the left and right. And if you get this one first try, I'll be massively impressed. Of course, if you have shipping container skin, you can give yourself some more space. But it's not a massive deal. You don't need to fit all the boxes up here. OC's already got enough boxes. It's more that it just looks cool in the ceiling, to be honest. If you can only fit like 3 boxes up here, that's still 3 more boxes, you know? And then you can seal it all in with your beautiful box placement, looking nice and cool. Get a cool skin up there, make the OC look nice. Add in your last few shelves, and then you are good to go. Looking very nice indeed. Next we're going to move on to our shooting floor portion, and that's coming straight up from the mobility chute into a bit of an X peak here. We're adding in a frame, and then we're adding in half walls down below. can wrap it in windows too. Drop down to upgrade these half walls. And there we go. We can get rid of that floor, we don't need it. That was just a bit of scaffolding. And then from there, wrap it in windows and add in your roofs. Roofs are always easier to place from an underneath angle or from behind. So get in position and do that. And then that frame is going to be a little bit annoying to place. Might be better off doing it beforehand, but it's just all about getting the right angle. Don't panic when you see it go red. The game's lying to you. You're going to be able to place it. It's all good. And then we're adding in only half walls there, as it's part of roof later on, you'll see. You should be able to jump up there nice and easy, but if not, put a ladder down, siren light, something else. So everybody in the team can get up there nice and easy. And then we add in a little shelf here for a turret. You can break that scaffolding again. Unnecessary twig. And cover up this little exit. Get yourself the chain link BP as well. And you're good to go. And we'll do exactly that on the opposite side. Next, we can move on to the other side of the base. And this is where our zenith peaks are. We're going to add in the frames, then the floors, half-height window for some roof peaks, window in the center, and then we can use our downwards angles in here. And then it's just a little ramp up the way. And then from there, you can add in some windows on top and seal in this whole section. Window in the center. Airlock off these two exits here. Get some beds down there, which is nice. And of course, make sure to fill up the beds in compound. Those are our main respawns. They come with the nastiest angles. But those angles in compound are only going to be useful if you've got a gun in there. You're not going to be doing much with a rocket torch through a Patrico peak. So keep that in mind. And once you've done that, you can do it all the way on the opposite side of the base. Now that everything's done, we're going to add in a couple of frames first, then the roofs, just from underneath down in that shooting floor level, and then you can add in the windows. Windows are going to be a little bit difficult to place too. They're going to go red. Don't panic. It's all about getting that angle from above and looking down on the spot you want to build from, and then it'll let you place. Perfect. And then you just do that all the way around the roof. Once you've done that, we're going to add in a backwards facing roof in between all of these peaks, and that's just going to tighten things up from the outside, making sure raid bases don't have too much visibility onto our roof here. These backwards roofs should come in handy for that. And you can pretty much just seal that bad boy in. Upgrade that frame. Could be a little awkward. A little bit dangerous working out there. Could take some fall damage. But once you got all those frames placed and they're upgraded, you can do a backwards roof on there. And ideally that roof is going to be a DLC one that's a little bit thinner. But if not, we can rock the old classic standard roofs, and they work too. Place the roof from up here. And there we go. Once we've done that, come down below and we'll add in some extra stability. We don't want any of this to collapse. So go ahead and place all of this from underneath. And hopefully it will hold everything up. And keep that stab nice and high up top. And just wrap that all the way around underneath all of our peaks. And the last thing to do to complete this base is chuck a couple of windmills up top. And once you've done that, that completes the base design. Hopefully you boys and girls have enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please feel free to leave me a like and drop me a comment down below. This base is an absolute banger, and I really hope to see you out there on some servers. Remember to check out howl.gg, and I'll see you boys and girls in the next videos in a bit.